In this episode, we explore the benefits of continuity of thought, including improved focus, increased creativity, and the positive and negative impacts it can have on our decision making and our productivity. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Paul Davis, and this is the Paul Think Grow podcast. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. I wanted to do an About Me podcast, but I've been thinking on this subject for a little while, and it kind of ties into the last one we did a few days ago. So I wanted to actually do this continuation before we actually go into sort of the more general stuff like about me's and things like that. So again, my name is Paul Davis. If you want to contact me, please go to paulthinkgrow.com and contact me through there, and we can have a conversation, or you can join up as a client for my coaching sessions. So today's topic, I think you're going to enjoy this, and if you don't, I think you'll understand the premise and concept of it. It is a very it's not very complex, but I think it's because it's a continuation. It might seem a tiny bit out of place, but as we go through it, you will understand exactly why this is a continuation to the personal influence episode we did a few days ago. So I want to say that this podcast title is Continuity of Thought. And it seems like a strange kind of way to put things together, but continuity of thought is something that's very important to me because it actually helps you to unlock things in your life that you never thought possible, or that you just are omitting by not actually practicing continuity of thought. So, continuity of thought refers to the idea that a person's thoughts, emotions, and experiences are connected in a form of continuous stream or flow, in a form of like a continuous stream or flow that, rather than being isolated and disconnected individually, they're all connected. So let me say that one more time. Continuity of thought is an idea that one's thought, your thoughts, my thoughts, everybody's thoughts, can be connected together. The thoughts, emotions, and experiences are actually connected. And I think a lot of times we can look at some of the things we've done and go, I didn't think that through. Some of the things we've said, and I didn't think that through. Or some of the feelings that we had that solicited sort of responses or reactions. And we can always look back and go, I don't even know why that feeling was there. Well, continuity of thought will give you a very coherent self-awareness of the connection between the past experiences and current thoughts and feelings that you may have. So, in other words, continuity of thought um, refers to the perceived coherence and connectiveness of one's mental and emotional experiences over time. So it's not like a just an individual thing, but over time as well. So, but let me give you a disclaimer, because I titled this continuity of thought. And I know a lot of you out there, a lot of you thinkers and overthinkers, like I can be sometimes, um, may say, why isn't it continuity in thought? Well, continuity in thought and continuity of thought refer to the same concept, but but the use of in versus of might reflect the slight difference in emphasis. So, continuity of thought places emphasis on the idea that the thoughts are continuous, interconnected, and form a flow or stream, while continuity in thought places emphasis on the idea that individuals maintain consistency and coherence in their thoughts over time. And both phrases can refer to the idea that thoughts are connected and form a unified whole, rather than being isolated and disconnected things. So you think about it, your experiences, your emotions, and your thoughts, they can be isolated. They can be isolated things about you. So when people think about their experiences, they might not always associate their thoughts at that time as well as their emotions at that time. Well, continuity of thought will actually allow you to do that, allow you to be able to reflect on all of that part that is of you, all of that is of you, and give you a coherent self awareness. It's kind of a way for you to be able to rectify or reconcile your emotions, thoughts, and experiences, and be able to use that reconciliation, be able to use that information and that consciousness to be able to direct yourself in whatever path it is you want to go, or whatever thing you want to change. Whether you want to change your emotions, change the way you think about things, or even change how you perceive experiences. Okay, so I've got a little outline here. I want to make sure that we stick to it because I don't want to make this one as long as the last one. I enjoyed the making, that one, but I want to actually bring this one down to a more succinct or more um, quick explanation. And then again, I want to give you some value at the end of this episode, and that value is going to be how to build up your continuity of thought, to build up that interconnectivity within yourself, allowing yourself to be able to connect your thoughts, your emotions, and your experiences, and be able to understand them. So, here are some benefits of continuity of thought and continuity of thought. Remember, in thought, of thought, continuity of thought. So, better self awareness. And by maintaining a continuity of thought, people can become more aware of their thoughts and emotions and experiences, and which can help you understand yourself better. Improved decision making, and this is one of the things that I enjoy about continuity of thought, is it can help you to make better decisions by allowing yourself to reflect on past experiences and emotions and consider how these may influence the present and the future. And I have to admit, this is one of my biggest things that I enjoy about continuity of thought. Being able to reflect on past experiences and emotions, and then to really look at how this will affect my past and my future. So then my actions can actually do what it is I want them to do, or have the results that I wanted to have. Another benefit of continuity of thought is better emotional regulation. So, by maintaining a sense of continuity, people can learn to recognize and manage their emotions more effectively. Like I said, this is a continuation, or the last lost bit of the last episode, and this better emotional regulation can reduce the risk of impulsive behavior and emotional outbursts. So, if you know me, if you know of me, you might know that I don't have emotional outbursts. I don't. Well, it's not that I don't have. Let's turn off the generalization for a second. I don't enjoy and I manage emotional outbursts very well. I would say myself, if I do say so myself. I try and make sure that when I respond to something, that it is not just a reaction. It is always going to be, as much as I can possibly make it, a response instead of a reaction. So, and I think that's extremely powerful for controlling impulse behavior and emotional outbursts. So, not everybody has that, but being able to actually use continuity of thought to be able to, look at yourself, identify yourself, be aware of yourself, and be aware of your experiences, your thoughts, as well as your emotions, can help to regulate emotional trauma, can help to regulate emotional outbursts, things that are attached to emotions, things that you did that were impulsive. This concept can help you to regulate those things. So another benefit of continuity of thought is to improve relations. So continuity of thought can also help people to develop better relationships by fostering empathy and understanding towards others. So that's those are like four main parts that I can really put up as far as why continuity of thought is an important concept to try and master, uh, an important way to try to live, because it gives you more control. It helps you to um, make good decisions, be self-aware of yourself, know who you are. How many people have had somebody go, "Tell me about yourself," and you just go, well, I don't know. What do you want to know? And that's kind of, it's good to ask that question. I don't say that it's not, but that being able to, that having to stop and go, I'm not exactly sure what I need to say or how I'm going to describe myself, is kind of, you're the only person living in that skin. And even if you might have different personalities that pop up every now and then, or that is useful for whatever reasons or whatever, we all do, but you might have that clearer sense of understanding who you are and aware of who you are. So when somebody do ask you, tell me about yourself, you have a clear idea of which path you can take to describe yourself. And of course, you'll be able to do it without there being risk of impulsive behaviors, as well as emotional outbursts, as well as saying the wrong things. So some of the drawbacks. So one of the things I like to do, if I'm going to give you a concept, that's something that is a possible thing that you can work on, something that you can use, I want to give you some drawbacks of continuity of thought. And of course, everything has its negatives if it's overdone. The more you overdo something or use something or set something up as the top thing in your world, it then becomes the negative thing because you forsake all other ideas and concepts and things that probably shouldn't be forsaken. So, some of the drawbacks, a couple of the drawbacks that I can really think of is overthinking. So, continuity of thoughts can sometimes lead to overthinking, and that can also lead to anxiety. And especially when people focus on negative thoughts or experiences or emotions. So, when you focus on negative thoughts, experiences and emotions, you can find it very difficult to, um, well, you'll find anxiety will be right around the corner, sort of thing. So, most people can find it difficult to accept a person who thinks positive all the time, even when um, everyone, or let's put it this way: most people can find it difficult to accept a person who thinks positive when when they're expecting them to, act a different way, or expecting them to think negatively about a situation. So just be careful when you do work on continuity of thought and do start thinking more positive about things and focusing on the positive aspects of whatever situation you're in. You'll find that people around you may actually start to have an issue with you not responding the way they want you to respond. But overthinking can be a big issue. Overthinking can be a big issue. So, and let me just describe that reason why people jump into the negative if you are starting out with continuity of thought. We said overthinking, but I want to actually go down this little rabbit hole for just a second. Okay, so people can find it difficult to accept a person who thinks positively, even when everyone around them thinks or expects them to think negative. And that could be for several reasons. And here are a few points just for reference, and then we'll move on. Skepticism. So people may be skeptical of a person's ability to maintain a positive outlook, especially when they're used to seeing them react negatively in similar situations. And this is for those of you who are starting out on this journey. This is a particular thing you may have to deal with. All right. The something else people might find it difficult to deal with, the person that's starting to think positively, is jealousy. So some people feel jealous or even resentful of a person's positive outlook, especially when they struggle to maintain a positive attitude themselves. So that can be quite jarring for people. It also can be that a positive attitude can change others' beliefs or change others' negative beliefs and assumptions, to which can make them feel very uncomfortable or even defensive. So it can be a threat to belief in that respect as well. Unfamiliarity. So people can find it difficult to understand or relate to someone who has a positive outlook when they themselves are used to seeing them react differently in the past. We said that before. And a resistance to change. So people may just resist the idea of a person, or resist change and be resistant to accepting someone who has made a conscious effort to change their outlook on life. And I will give you this little tip. The way you think about everything is the way you experience the world. So if something happens and it's negative in your eyes, if you think about that thing as negative and you consistently think about that thing as negative, I don't say erase the programming. I say program yourself to avoid those things, to look out for that thing, to, try to maintain as much positivity as you can, and just not engage in that thing or that situation. But if you take, something that happened 15, 20 years ago and make it a staple in your life, it will almost be like continuously happening over and over and over. So you'll find that positive thinking isn't, and I know this sounds very, I have to say this because I know this sounds very airy fairy and what do you call it? And very sort of hippie-ish, stylish or whatever. I understand, but the concept itself is still valid. When you constantly focus on something that is negative, you constantly repeat the emotions, the thoughts, and the feelings, and sometimes even the actions behind it. And that can actually be detrimental to your life. If you actually want to move forward with anything, you cannot focus your whole life backwards. You can't turn your back and look backwards and then say, I'm moving forward, because you're moving backwards the whole time. So, having a positive outlook and a positive attitude and changing your thinking from more negative, this is the bad, to more, this can be good and that is good and that's good. And how about I try this to make this better? How about I try that to make that better? This is the way you actually create a whole new person in yourself. And people say, yeah, you changed. It's really usually a positive. When people say you changed for a negative, usually it's because of, a few reasons, because you've done something that they didn't like. But generally, changing for a positive, you have to change your outlook, your attitude, and the way you think. So let's just take a look at this continuity of thought, because when you actually think about continuity of thought in a positive way, you can actually gain more from life. You can actually use that and gain more from life than you would if you were stuck in the same place. Another so that was overthinking, but then we went down a little rabbit hole there. But let's come back to overthinking. Some drawbacks of continuity of thought: overthinking and getting stuck in the past. So continuity of thought can sometimes lead to people becoming trapped in the past, which was what I was just saying. Jeez, my outline is incredible. Um, can lead to people getting trapped in the past, and that can prevent them from moving forward and making positive changes in your life. So I guess I kind of jumped the gun there, but I wanted to actually put that out there. I wrote it down, so it must have been on my mind. The effects of continuity of thought can be a very interesting thing. So the effects can really be a person's life can change for the better, for positive, and if we take the negative right, for negative, depending on how you use the concept. And when used as a healthy balance, when used in a healthy balanced manner, continuity of thought can lead to improved self-awareness, better decision making, improved emotional regulation, and stronger relationships, and so on and so forth. Now I want to get to the point where I just tell you how. So we can go through and we can take a real good look at what continuity of thought is, but I want to tell you how. So again, let me just tell you one more time what the sort of definition of continuity of thought is. Continuity of thought refers to the idea that someone's thoughts, emotions, and experiences are all connected into a continuous stream or flow, rather than them being isolated and disconnected and individual things. So I know that a lot of people can look at their actions and go, I basically didn't think that through, or I thought very hard about that, and this was what the outcome was going to be, and I knew that, and so on and so forth. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have a great idea of what your actions are going to result in, what your results are going to be before you take those actions? Would it be an amazing idea to be able? Wouldn't it be an amazing thing for you to be able to accept either the responsibility or the rewards that come from something that you did prior to you even doing it, because you thought it out and you go, that's an acceptable risk, that's an acceptable, um, you know, reward, whatever it is. I feel that that's a great thing for anybody that actually takes time to look at themselves and understand themselves, how they act, how they think, how their emotional triggers are, all that kind of stuff. When we start talking about emotional intelligence, which is coming up in a few episodes from now, hopefully, we'll talk about emotional intelligence, and it's far different from what you might think it is. I'll give you a little snippet. Emotional intelligence is not just the fact that you are an intelligent person that has emotions. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to actually understand your emotions, recognize them, understand them, and control them. Understand the emotions in others, recognize them and understand them, and by your actions, lend some control or some sort of balance to someone else's. But also recognizing how those emotions match and don't match, and being able to use that to work through different situations. All right, let's jump back into this one. I'm going to give you the final little section on this because I want you to understand continuity of thought is something that's very clean. It's just being able to understand that your emotions and your actions and your thoughts are not separate, but they are intertwined into a stream. They all, one comes before the other generally, but let's just make sure that we have this idea of how to actually achieve it. So achieving some continuity of thought can be a valuable aspect of anybody's personal growth and your mental health. So here's a few little things you can do and steps that you can take to actually sort of start working on your continuity. And it's mindfulness. We talked about mindfulness in the self influence episode. Mindfulness, the practice of being present in the moment and observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. And I like to put that in there because I want you to understand practicing being present in the moment and observing yourself without judgment. And this can help you to develop a greater understanding of your mental and emotional experiences. Reflect on your experiences. That's one of the biggest things you could do. Take the time to reflect on your experiences and emotions and consider how they may be interconnected with the rest of you. And this can help you see patterns in your behavior and thought processes. So a lot of people might think things like, I wonder why I want to do such and such, but I don't do it. Well, take time to reflect on yourself. Understand just where your experiences and emotions lie, just where they are. Understand that your experiences and emotions are interconnected, and it'll help you understand, it'll help you see and hopefully understand patterns that you have in your life, patterns of behavior and patterns in your thought processes. So develop self-awareness. Cultivate a deeper understanding of your thoughts, emotions, and motivations. And this will help you gain a better insight into your behaviors as well, and make more informed decisions. Practice self-influence. If you don't understand or know what self-influence is, go back to the previous episode and have a listen to what self-influence can entail. So that's allowing you to take the time to purposefully train your focus on what it is you want and need in life through intentional engagement in relative activities and even media. What you read, what you watch, what you do, who you talk to, friends you have. One of the craziest things in the world is identifying the friends that are causing you to, let's say, not focus on your, do the opposite of focusing on your goal, that could be super difficult. But I'll tell you one thing, you will find that the people who don't help you focus on your goal, once you do start to focus on your goal, generally they kind of fade into the background. So practice self-influence. Cultivate positive habits. So engage in activities that promote positive things and that promote positive outcomes in your life. Positive thinking, self-reflection. Uh, Use a journal, meditate, exercise, play games, whatever it is you do to sort of stop for a moment and think positive. It might take a moment for some people who actually don't have positive flows in their head already. It might take a moment. But I tell you what, you start taking smaller and smaller moments where you actually only think positive or identify when the negative thoughts are starting to come up, like I can't do this or I'm not good enough for that or whatever, and you try your best to erase them, you push them down. Don't think that you have to change overnight. Just take that moment and push that thought to the back and pull the positive one forward. Just take that moment and then reward and then you know be be happy in that moment. Celebrate that moment. Reward yourself for the idea that you took a negative thought and changed it into a positive thought, and that'll get easier and easier and easier. You'll find yourself on the path of, I know what I want. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. Nobody can stop me. And that is one of the reasons why we cultivate positive habits, because if we cultivate positive habits, we can promote positive thinking and self-reflection. So practicing empathy as well. Work on developing empathy and understanding towards others. And this can help you build stronger relationships and connect with others in a more meaningful way. And I know everybody doesn't have the same level of empathy when it comes to everything. So don't look at one person and go, "Wow, they really do have a high level of empathy. I can't achieve that, therefore I won't try." Give yourself some credit for actually thinking that, okay, I'm going to put myself in a position where I can develop my empathy and understanding towards others. I can actually allow myself to develop that, because everything isn't an instant switch. There are some things that are, but everything isn't an instant switch for everyone. What's an instant switch for you might not be for somebody else. Seeking support is a huge thing too. So this is how you can help to achieve continuity of thought. One of the major things is consider seeking support from mental health professionals, life coaches, um, support groups. Especially if you're struggling with negative thoughts or emotions, please get help. Don't allow yourself to, if those negative thoughts and emotions are really turning your life upside down because you think negatively, therefore you have negative emotions towards things you even want, and that in turns creates negative actions. Again, the self influence thing is a huge thing. All of this is interconnected. So seeking support can be a huge thing to help you to actually take that next step, or even erase or change some of those negative thoughts and behaviors. So it's important to remember that by developing continuity of thought, this is a process that can take time and effort. And it doesn't have to be like you've got to sit there for 5 hours and meditate. Take yourself 5 or 10 minutes, take yourself 5 or 10 minutes and just meditate. Think about it. Meditation doesn't have to have candles. You don't have to fold your legs. You can just sit in a chair and stare at the wall and try and clear your mind of the crazy things that are happening, and think only on the things that you need to think on, that you want to think on. Try and change some of the negative thoughts, the negative self-talk. By making small changes in your daily life, you can, and seeking support when you need it, you can make a significant difference towards your positive thinking and fulfilling your mental and emotional life. That is a huge thing. You can make a huge difference. You can make a huge difference in fulfillment, the way you think, the way you feel, the way your emotions act. There are people who have a lot of anxiety, and we're going to go through anxiety too, because there's some points on anxiety that I want to actually make that are quite significant, and they will describe anxiety and how to identify and where it comes from. One of the biggest things about anxiety is people don't know where it comes from. How did this arrive? How did I get to this point where I'm feeling this way? Well, we're going to go through that in one of our episodes on anxiety. It's going to be a very clear eye opener of how to actually identify where that anxiety comes from. And sometimes it doesn't actually have to be something that happened. It could even just be a string of thoughts that have reoccurred over time. And because they've reoccurred, you've created this feedback loop, and you can have this negative emotion, which can in turn become anxiety. But we'll get more deep into that, because anxiety has a lot of little twists and turns to it. But I think I can describe it in a very clear way, and how to actually curb it and ultimately erase it over time. But continuity of thought is important. It's important for you to take the time and learn how to connect your thoughts, emotions, and experiences, and then be able to see them as a continuous flow and not as a separate thing. You won't have to apologize so much or blame things on, I was emotional, or or I didn't think of what I was doing, or because of these things in my past, this is why this happened. Your continuity of thought will actually allow you to streamline all of that, and it won't get rid of the experiences you've had. It won't get rid of the thoughts you've had in the past. It won't get rid of your emotions. It won't just change your emotions, but what it will do is allow you to have control over your thoughts, emotions, and how you perceive your experiences. Very, 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 very powerful. Extremely powerful. When a person walks into a room and you understand that they have control over their emotions, what they're thinking, as well as how they perceive what's happened to them, how people have said things, done things, what they've experienced throughout their life, and there's no real chance of them, using that against you, or that being something that's going to corrupt the relationship you have with them. Those are the things that continuity of thought will allow you to be. So I like to bring these things to people and allow you to take these tools and hopefully give you more power, give you more power in self, give you more power in who you are, the ability to know yourself on a level that nobody else can, and to be able to know yourself in a way that's clear, that's clean, that's open and honest. And that is one of the biggest points. Continuity of thought will allow you to do that. So that's really what I wanted to do. If you want to know those little points again of how to actually develop this continuity of thought, mindfulness, reflect on your experiences, uh, develop self-awareness, uh, like think about yourself more, get a deeper understanding of yourself, practice self-influence. Take the time to do this, to focus on what it is you want and need in life, um, and then cultivate positive habits and practice empathy. And ultimately, if you need it, or even if you slightly need it, or if you think you might want to just see what it's about, get support. Seek some support. Find somebody you can talk to that can help you work through some of these mental strains, some of these mental things that you actually need to work through, help to empower you, help to encourage you, motivate you, push you forward. So these are some of the things you can do to achieve continuity in thought, or continuity of thought. See, continuity in thought. And of course, I hope you understood that difference of continuity of thought and in thought. It's quite slight, like it's very subtle, but it's an actual difference. There's a strong difference there, but it is subtle. So it's like if you had a cup of water and a cup of white, clear oil. It's a subtle line, but you know that one is one place and the other one is the other place. So let's not dig too much into the title of continuity of or continuity in. All right. Anyway, once again, that is where we're going to leave it. I thank you guys for listening to this podcast. I've only done a short one today. Only did a short one today because I wanted everybody to just get this information and they can replay it and it doesn't take up too much time. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to Paul Think Grow. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye now.